What's up? It's your boy, it's your man, it's your dude, Harry Lately, back with another episode of the Never Late Show. And actually, today, instead of highlighting a project, we're actually going to be highlighting an artist. We have a one-on-one interview with none other than Miguel Faus, who was highlighted by Variety magazine as 2021's one of 2021's top 10 Spanish creators to watch. So, how's it going, Miguel?
All good. Thank you for having me.
And Miguel is actually in the process of releasing an NFT movie project called Calladita, which we're actually going to be highlighting in the next Gazette, the next Red Lion Gazette, number 81. So be sure to look out for that article. It's going to be accompanied by this video. Today, we're actually going to learn more about Miguel as a creator, and that article actually dives deeper into the project itself. So again, stay tuned for that. Gazette number 81. So Miguel, let's get into you. You're from Barcelona. I love Barcelona. I actually proposed to my wife at Parque Güell. So when you think about the city, the rich heritage, iconic influences like Antoni Gaudi, what type of impact has that had on you as an artist?
Well, thank you for having me. That's an interesting question. I I guess I don't know about the city itself or like Gaudi and other creators from the city, but definitely, the Mediterranean lifestyle and world has had an impact in my in my work and in myself as an artist for sure.
Okay. And when I use the word, artist, I use it for a reason, because when you're creative, you really could express yourself in any medium. What made you choose film?
Yeah, I discovered film I kind of fell in love with film when I was around 16 years old after watching Pulp Fiction by Tarantino, and but it wasn't only because I loved the movie. It was mostly because after watching that, I read a little bit about Tarantino and especially about these tropes that he uses in all of his films, like the bare feet of women or like the shots from the trunk of a car. And that led me to understand what a filmmaker actually was. And this idea that the filmmaker is like the creator, like the author of a film in that sense, which I never understood before. But then once that clicked, that it was very similar to a painter with a painting or a writer with a novel, it felt like the best job in the world for me, like that you could create a world and film it and direct a whole crew and cast in order to make a vision that you had come true in the cinema, in a screen. That seemed incredible to me, and I had always had an artistic inclination, and I had painted and done other kinds of artistic endeavors, but film just felt like the the best kind of way to express myself, because it encompasses all other arts, and it's like very, yeah, like larger than life, I guess. So like that made me fall in love with it.
Yeah, and double clicking there, can you talk about some of the stories that compel you to make films? I mean, you just briefly alluded to it, but where does your inspiration come from?
My inspiration for the stories that I tell, I guess, comes more from my life and my experiences and what I experience like more in real life than from the films that I love. But yeah, I'm also a very big film buff, and I watch many films every year, and so and like those stories are also very much inside me and also inspire me in my work as well. But for example, Calladita is very inspired by my like the world where I grew up in, and the kinds of stories that I've had around me in my childhood and my early youth, I guess.
Yeah, so it's really in some ways kind of personifies your life, right? In some ways, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't like the film is not autobiographical or anything, but I do like to make films about the world that I know, and tell the stories that I know personally, and I have a personal attachment to them for sure.
Cool. When you think about, the similarities of storytelling in film and within art, is that what drew you to the NFT space?
Mm, I don't think so. I think what drew me to the NFT space was more the empowerment and liberation of creators and artists of all disciplines thanks to
Hmm.
digital ownership. So I understood very instantly and very clearly that digital ownership was the future and that it would allow creators to finally get their dues um, from all their work and their creations, because until now the internet had been extracting our value hugely, and most of the value was going to intermediaries.
When you think about what you're doing, I mean, in many ways, you're a pioneer because this is one of the first, films being funded within the NFT space.
Hmm.
And then when you think about the similarities of putting a film together and all the components that go into that, all of the people,
Hmm.
and there's many, variables that go into putting together an NFT project. Can you talk about how kind of compare and contrast that experience of putting a film together versus an NFT project?
Yeah, they are definitely similar. I appreciate the comparison. I made that myself sometimes in Twitter Spaces and stuff because I think it's very relevant. Like putting together this whole NFT project has been quite similar to producing a film. I guess more than directing. There's not so much artistic side, even though I did create the art in the NFTs, but mostly like producing, right? Managing a whole team of people, from developers to a marketing team, to then managing a community and managing communication with them, and pitching you the project and talking about it on interviews like today. So yeah, there are many things that are similar, and I guess my experience in making films has helped me to put together this whole NFT project. It's cooler to make movies, definitely, than to fundraise them, but still, I love the NFT space, so these are also fine.
Yeah, because I don't think many people appreciate or even maybe understand all of the layers that go into making both, right? I mean, you have so many folks that don't necessarily get the shine or exposure when these projects are released, both on the film side and the NFT space. So
Hmm.
someone like you, obviously, like you said, having that film background definitely prepared you for something like this because
Hmm.
you're project managing across multiple disciplines, across multiple functions, trying
Yeah.
to achieve and execute on a single deadline. So yeah. um Taking it a step further, how does it feel to be representing the Latin perspective in both films and the NFT space? How important is that to you, when you think about representation?
It's very important. I mean, the NFT space is still very dominated by American perspective and the American and English language. Like if NFT Twitter is like 99% English, so that creates a barrier for some people, and it also kind of impedes a broader sense of diversity in the space, which I hope we're gonna move away from. And I'm very proud that the second movie ever to be financed with NFTs is a movie in Spanish. It's Calladita, and I'm honored to be kind of representing that that part of the world of Spanish speakers in the NFT space. And I'm also, and it's true that, so I also want to point out that there's this barrier, like there's this language barrier, and there's this fact that the NFT space is still not very diverse because it's mostly populated, especially by Americans. But I want to point out that like there's no barriers for new entrants, and I haven't felt that in any way, and I felt super welcome and included always, and I haven't felt like some people weren't jumping in our project because it was in Spanish.
Mhm.
Like not at all, quite the contrary. This is a space of inclusion and welcoming. And I just guess that Americans are better at sniffing innovation and jumping into cool new things, which has happened over the years, and that's probably what happened in NFTs as well. But I'm excited for our NFT values and world to reach farther frontiers and more people of diverse places and languages and everything, and to kind of spread the NFT world across the whole world.
Yeah, no, it is. It is. I love the inclusion of the global community. I appreciate the fact that, I appreciate your contribution to the space, because like you said, we do need the representation of all communities around the globe, because this is going to impact literally everyone on planet Earth at some point. Mm-hmm. And then taking it to my last question, now that it seems like NFTs and film will be forever combined in some capacity, how do you feel or foresee the relationship between the two will evolve over time?
Yeah, I think that NFTs and blockchain technology more broadly are going to impact all aspects of the film industry. So in Calladita represents more the fundraising side of things, and we're already seeing that with my project and with Julie Pacino's project before us. But then that's also like a very indie fundraising world, but I think it's going to impact also bigger films that are fundraising this way, and we're already seeing movements in that respect. But then also it's also gonna impact production in some ways, and here not so much NFTs as blockchain. I think the blockchain technology can be very helpful at managing transparency for deal flow and money flow within the whole pre-production, production, and distribution of a film. And then lastly, distribution is also going to be hugely impacted, in my opinion, by the blockchain and by NFTs. I think definitely, the challengers of the big streamers nowadays are going to be Web3 native, and they're going to allow, token gated subscriptions, watch to earn, and other sorts of innovations that are going to, what they will all have in common is the Web3 values of distributing the value better. So, right now, most of the value is accruing to the intermediaries, for example, the streamers. And what Web3 preaches and is going to accomplish is to distribute that value better, both to the creators and to the audiences, and less of that cut to the intermediary, because, a streamer is just an intermediary between the audience and the creator, and nothing more and nothing less.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you in terms of getting artists exactly what they deserve, and Web3 is definitely going to be a conduit and a catalyst to do that, to level the playing field, like you said. So, guys, if you're interested, I definitely am in checking out Miguel's project. Like I said, Gazette 81 will be out just around the corner here. Check that out. Learn more about the project. Check out Miguel's earlier works. He has, a myriad of projects on the web, a couple of short films. Again, he's world-renowned, highlighted in Variety magazine as someone to watch. So 2022, I imagine he's going to have continued success. So I appreciate you guys watching, and we'll see you next time. Peace.